Hello friends, Glage back with another Punishing Grey Raven guide today, and we have a brand new leap to talk about as our original Global Sync character. If you can remember back that far, the Global Synchronization program started with Luna Oblivion as our first S rank in a multi-patch setting. And now she has finally been given a leap to bring her up to parity with more modern attackers and bring a lot of quality of life to her overall kit. So, unlike a lot of the recent leaps we have got, which have mostly been focused on unlocking characters' elemental effect abilities for the characters that did not launch with an elemental effect attached to their base kit, and then also providing minor quality of life or minor buffs in the process, Luna's leaps are entirely based around her base kit. They are all designed to make her Nihil damage output much more efficient and much easier from an execution standpoint. There are very, very strong quality of life buffs with these leap skills, and they are quite powerful. This is a pretty notable upgrade. I would say this is arguably the strongest leap we have seen maybe ever. If not, it is definitely way, way up there in terms of leaps that are drastically going to increase your overall output and are almost certainly going to return you some pretty big upgrades on your Warzone scores when we have a Nihil week Warzone, like we do with this week as I'm recording this. So, I'm going to go over how to leap Luna. If you're a newer player, never utilize the leap skill system. It's very simple. It requires mats, but they're all mats you can get for free. And then I will go over what the actual leap skills do, discuss what they change in her kit, show you what the new meta team looks like and the builds available to run it, and then of course I'll do a combat demonstration showing how the new leap skills work in practice and offer up a new example rotation you can utilize to hopefully get the most out of these leap skills in mass. So, if you have never leaped a character before, you're going to need 3 different materials first and foremost. If you go over to the recycle shop, and the first tab being the leap shop, to the far right you will find Luna's character-specific leap wafers. You are going to need 135 of these to max out all 3 of her leap skills. These can be bought for 15 regular leap wafers apiece. The regular wafers can be bought in the war shop for war points, so as long as you've been banking some Warzone points, you should be able to pick up more than enough chips to get the total 135 character specific chips, and that will max out Luna as far as leap chips are concerned. If you don't have enough leap chips right now and you're a little low on Warzone points, you can level the leap skills incrementally and do them one at a time. Obviously, maxing them all out at the same time is going to give you, the full version of the kit that is now the basis of how to play the character, but if you need to do it over time, that is perfectly fine to do. You also need 2 other very common materials, both of which can be gotten in the event shop. First, you will need 630 total Aura basic units. These are just another mat that goes into leveling up each individual leap skill, so you can purchase those from the event shop. And lastly, you will need 180 total skill points. If you've been playing for any amount of time, you're probably swimming in these, but if for some reason you're running low, feel free to run the event shop and get these purchased up. 180 is not very much. This should be totally free to do for basically anyone. The only place you're going to get caught up is the leap wafers, and again, as long as you've been banking some Warzone points, you should be able to max out all 3 of Luna's leap skills for free with not too much effort. Speaking of those leap skills, let's go ahead and discuss what they actually do and how they changed Luna's kit. So, her first leap skill, Ascendant Overlook, is going to give Luna a hold dodge skill while she is in base form. This is going to automatically group enemies and consume 3 pings to charge up her core passive gauge while she's in base mode. She's also going to gain both some super armor and 50% damage reduction for the duration of the skill, and if she is attacked while performing this skill, it will automatically proc Matrix if Matrix is available. You can also release the dodge button to cast Shattering Moon. This will do a Nihil AoE that will do 1400% extra damage and will get a nice chunk of damage off the enemy. That said, this is basically the one part of this kit you won't really be utilizing in rotations, at least from my personal testing. Once you max out the skill, Luna does get some other perks as well. At level 9, she will auto-arrange her orbs while utilizing this new leap skill. It's also going to grant some extra core passive stacks. And lastly, this skill will give Luna the modern attacker passive that will cause her to launch off-field attacks for a massive bonus damage multiplier once you have cast her full ultimate once and then swapped Luna off the field. This is the same thing that we've seen on the new modern attackers. They cast their ultimate, you swap them out, and they do some kind of off-field attack for a big damage bonus. So this is quite powerful all around. This whole dodge skill completely changes how we play Luna and makes it honestly a lot smoother to do in practice. Leap skill number 2, known as String Moonfall. This is going to increase the base damage of Luna's ultimate by 70% if you use the slower route to her final ultimate, and by 50% for the faster route to the final ultimate. Holding ult 1 is how you get the fast route. Tapping ult 1 is how you get through the slower route, so just keep that in mind when we're talking about these two modes going forward. In addition, this is going to build up 53 signature energy when you use her hold basic attack while in ultimate form. And when casting her final ultimate, Luna will gain 1 signal orb after that cast is complete. That doesn't sound like much, but keep in mind Luna does have the passive where if you use a 3-ping, the next ping you do also counts as an automatic 3-ping. So getting 1 free signal orb is more often than not going to equate to getting 1 free 3-ping for Luna, and that's quite good. If you max out the second skill, you are going to gain 7 signal orbs when you use her full ultimate if you entered via the fast route, aka holding down ultimate 1 instead of tapping it. And in addition, she is going to gain a passive that will increase her QTE damage by 1,000% for the duration of the battle after she has cast her ultimate once. This is another modern attacker passive that we have been seeing pretty frequently, where attackers get a big boost to their QTE damage once they have cast their ultimate at least once during the battle. Luna is no exception, and this brings her up to parity with other modern attackers. Luna's final leap skill, Nihil Break, is going to increase the damage of her hold basic attack while in ult form by 50% if you use the fast route, 40% if you use the slower route. She's also going to gain a damage bonus up to 100% when using the hold basic attack in ult form, depending on how many core passive stacks you have built. If you have Luna all the way up at SSS and can build the full 600 stacks, you get the 100% damage increase. If you are less, it scales down based on the number you have available. Lastly, if you are maxing this skill, excuse me, when using a 3-ping while she is in ultimate mode, you can now chain together 3 pings with no animation cancels whatsoever, dealing 800% extra Nihil damage in the process. This is a massive, massive improvement for Luna. This eliminates the need to dodge cancel all her orb pings to speed up her overall rotation. This is great because not only does it make execution a lot easier, it doesn't waste your dodge gauge, and it means your actual orbs are doing their full damage instead of their animations being canceled out so you can get to the later parts of her rotations. Lastly, the last passive you'll get from this is that the bonus damage for her off-field attacks, where you cast ult and then she launches strikes from off-field that aren't her QTE, will get an extra damage bonus of 100%. So, all in all, these are incredibly powerful leap skills. They are very nice quality of life, and they are a notable upgrade all around, both for Luna and the Nihil team writ large. So, with all that covered, let's go ahead and take a look at what the meta Nihil team... Hello, login. Perfect timing, I guess. Well, now you know when I'm recording this. Congratulations. Behind the curtain. You're welcome. Anywho, let's go ahead and get into the teams, and we'll talk about that. So, the meta Nihil team going forward will be Luna herself on red as the leader for the team, Vera Garavor on blue as the amplifier support, and Ishmael as the Nihil tank on yellow. As for the builds for the meta team, Vera will maintain her core support memory set, 4-piece Da Vinci and 4-piece Guinevere harmonized. This is far and away her best option when she is acting as a support. As for your resonances, they'll stay the same. Her class skill stays on the bottom, any 15 attack up top. Vera will see a small amount of field time within the Nihil team, but obviously is not the core part of doing damage during your Nihil rotations, so she'll be acting as a full support in this setup. Ishmael stays mostly the same. Her main set when she is going to be doing on-field damage as a tank, 4-piece Sothoth, her signature set, and then 4-piece Kadi harmonized. You'll be harmonizing her signature on the bottom, any 15 attack up top. Ishmael is still a orb-hungry and thus somewhat investment-heavy character. If you can afford it, you are going to want her signature weapon and deadline timing on for a resonance. I will note that at least in my testing, I have found that cutting Ishmael down to a double ult rotation instead of a triple ult rotation has been getting me better Warzone run results. So there is a world where she may no longer need deadline timing depending on your investment and depending on what kind of rotation is working best for your Nihil team. But if you are finding yourself running out of orbs in any way with Ishmael, I highly recommend just slapping deadline timing on. It's been a staple of her gameplay for quite some time now, so it's going to work out just fine. If you want to get other resonances, obviously you can get DPS ones on the field, and domain deconstruction as she's acting as the tank is always a high priority as well. So as for Luna herself, Luna also, unfortunately, does remain a very investment-heavy character, but we do get a new memory build option with the advent of these leap skills. So you will keep her 4-piece signature set Cleopatra on, as well as 2-piece Kadi, just as most of you probably have built for a long time now for this character. But we now have a new option to harmonize Einstein instead of harmonizing a 4-piece Kadi. This is actually a pretty notable damage increase in my testing, because not only is getting the elemental shred going to offer Luna a lot more on-field damage when she is fighting for herself, but all of her off-screen attacks, the new bonuses she gets for the off-field attacks and the bonus to her QTE damage, make this elemental shred even better for helping out your other 2 units when they are taking field time and trying to break down the Nihil break bars and all of that good stuff that comes with it. Her resonances stay the same, signature on the bottom, any 15 attack up top. I will note that Luna just flat out needs her signature weapon. She is very orb hungry. If you want to do efficient rotations, you're going to need the signature weapon, and I hate to say it, but you're going to want deadline timing. Luna is one of, if not the most orb hungry character in the game, and while her leap skills do alleviate a little bit of that pain, you're still going to find yourself coming up short on orbs if you're not having deadline timing available in various situations. So it is unfortunate, one of those things. You're going to have to bite the bullet on it and probably get her signature weapon and get at least 1 resonance on it if you want to play her at proper efficiency in this new meta Nihil team. I say new, it's basically the same team, but with the new build and the new leap skills that obviously empower everything in total. One thing to note is that since Luna is now a leap character, that means you can evolve her for free via the voucher shop. She is now available to be purchased via vouchers, and if you are a Battle Pass purchaser, you can also get Luna from the S-Rank selector shards that you get for completing Battle Pass missions over the course of the patch. So if your Luna is only at SS, you can get her to SS3, SSS, and beyond over time, even if you are a totally free-to-play player. I highly recommend prioritizing her in the voucher shop going forward, unless you are in the process of getting another recent leap character up to a ideal evolution rank for whatever you're trying to do with various teams that they might be on. But if you can prioritize Luna, I highly recommend it. She is the linchpin of her element, and these leap skills are very powerful. They only get better with better investment. SS should be the goal for every player long term, because the boosts she gets at SS are very, very impressive. Before we move on to the actual combat demonstration, let me go ahead and get back into the team real quick and offer a couple budget options in case you are missing any of these characters. So if you do not have Vera available, simply put, just run your best built amplifier. You won't be able to run the double Guinevere set in most cases if it's not a more modern amplifier. Vera's really the only one who truly benefits from that setup, but you can just transfer it over to whatever your best built amplifier is, and it will be fine. Vera does see some field time, as I mentioned. She is the ideal candidate for this team, but any amplifier you have, preferably at triple S or higher for the extra power on the amplifier passive bonus, is going to be a fine replacement that won't cost you too much efficiency overall in terms of the meta team. Ishmael is a lot harder to replace just because she has so much time stop, and her innate Nihil damage is obviously a big deal for Nihil based stages. That said, Luna does have the passive that will convert Elemental Shred into any Elemental Shred, aka other tanks can shred Nihil resistance by utilizing the skills that would normally do Elemental Shred. So if you do not have Ishmael available, field whoever your strongest tank is currently. If you have Watanabe leveled up quite a bit thanks to his leap, or any other tank leveled up to a high investment, use them in place of Ishmael, but Ishmael far and away will be your best option as the Nihil tank because, well, innate Nihil damage, it turns out, is worth an awful lot in a Nihil weak Warzone stage. So that covers the teams, the builds, and the options available going forward. So let's go ahead, jump into the training mode. I will show you how these new leap skills work in practice and also offer up a sample rotation for you to use in Nihil Warzones going forward. Alright, so let's take a look at Luna's leap skills in action so you can kind of understand how they work, what they're doing, and how we're going to utilize them to do an updated rotation for the Nihil team. So let's go ahead and start with her new hold dodge attack that she has while she is in base form. So this is available anytime you have orbs that you can ping off. This is automatically done when you hold the dodge button. You don't have to manually ping them, but as long as you have orbs stocked, you can utilize this skill. So I'm going to go ahead and hold dodge, and you're going to notice two things. One, ultimate comes online very, very quickly because Luna has a pretty innately short ult 1 bar, and the fact that we're using Kadi also lowers that amount. But ultimate's going to come up very quickly, and two, the core passive gauge is also going to fill very quickly. So I'm going to hold this to finality and play out the whole skill, but I just want you to watch how quickly everything comes online. So we go in, hold dodge, and you'll see we go up, then Luna drops the big orb, and we've gone through an entire core passive gauge and stocked up 300 stacks on the core passive already. This also procs Matrix, all that good stuff, and as you can see, we have a full ult. So this skill is very, very, very fast for burning through resources and getting to ult quickly. The neat thing is that you don't have to play out the whole animation. As soon as ultimate comes online, you can cancel out of this animation immediately and go into ultimate. So if I go ahead and just hold dodge, wait for the ult to come up, we're in. It's that simple. This is a very, very, very straightforward skill. It's very easy to utilize. Far and away the trickiest part about this skill is that this is going to be our primary way to get into the slower ultimate route, and it's very easy to charge for too long and end up burning your whole core passive gauge, which is not what you want going into ultimate mode. Or it's also easy to accidentally tap ult too early and then cast your first ultimate, go into ult mode, but not actually have a full core passive gauge, which is a problem in the fast ultimate route because we don't want to be using orbs in that route, and I'll talk about that in a second. But just one more time, just to kind of show you, basically, most of the time when you bring Luna in, she should come in with at least a half core passive gauge thanks to her bring-in attack. So if you hold dodge, you don't need to hold it for very long, and bam, hold. We're in. Pretty much every time you use the hold dodge ability to get into ultimate mode, you're going to be using the slower route, aka the tap ultimate. So be very careful when you're utilizing this to not accidentally hold down the ultimate button, because that's normally not the route we're going to want to take for this. Make sure you're always tapping, and then you're good to go. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about the rest of the leap skills, and they basically pertain to her two ult modes. So we're going to go over the fast mode first, which is the hold ultimate in base form to get into that. So there will be a couple ways to get this. Let's show it how we normally would in practice. So the easiest way to go into the fast ultimate is going to be, first we do Luna's bring in. We have half a core passive gauge. You can dodge cancel the bring in. The core passive and energy is added in immediately. You don't have to let the animation play out, and I'll talk about that more in the rotation. But once you're at this point, you can go ahead, do another 3 ping, and we're there. Ultimate is online. It's ready to go. So if we hold ultimate, go into the faster route towards the ultimate, that's going to set us up for that mode. But something I want to note is that now when you are going into this faster ult, the hold ultimate to go into ult mode, you can cancel her animation on the orb. So if I come in, bring Luna in, we'll dodge cancel, we'll use the 3 ping, and I'm going to immediately hold ultimate. You see, it's in. We're there. We're already set to go. We use the fast route, so we have an entirely full core passive gauge. This means we can immediately hold basic. Do the entire animation of this, and then that'll get us enough signature energy to cast our final ultimate. Let me go back and get into this because it does have a timer, which makes it a little bit more annoying to explain, but it's okay. So, go into the full ult. All we do in this mode when we do the fast ult route is just immediately hold basic. It is important to note that this animation right here cannot be canceled in any way, shape, or form. You can't cancel it with a dodge or a basic attack, and you also cannot cancel it with the ultimate cast. You do have to let that animation play out, and it is very long. It is longer than a Da Vinci proc will last if you cast it immediately. So it's very important when you're using this routing to get to an ultimate that you go ahead and wait a little bit on your QTEs. I usually like to wait till about halfway through the animation, then call the QTEs, and then you can mash on your ultimate to cast your final ultimate once the animation plays out. And that's the fast ultimate route. Very, very simple and straightforward. So just to kind of show you this in practice, I'm going to do the entire fast ultimate route real quick. So Luna will come in, dodge cancel, use an orb, hold ultimate. You can start holding basic immediately. Call your QTEs midway through that animation, cast your ultimate, donezo. Very, very simple, very, very straightforward. Let's go ahead and talk about the slower ultimate route. This is very similar to how Luna played prior, except now we don't have to dodge cancel stuff to make it work. So getting into the slower ultimate, like I said, we're going to utilize the new hold dodge skill. So I'm going to go ahead and go hold dodge, tap when the core passive gauge is full, and you'll see we have some orbs ready online. This is the mode now where you can chain together orb casts. You don't have to dodge cancel them. In the past, we used to have to do something like this and then dodge cancel it, right? No more. Now I can just go ahead. I see I have 2 3 pings lined up already, so I can just go 3 ping, 3 ping, and that's going to get us set up and ready for ultimate when we're doing this properly. I'm kind of going back and forth to explain each individual step, but this works perfectly fine within the rotation. Once you do those 2 3 pings, we have a full core passive gauge, and that means now we can go ahead and hold basic just like you would in Luna's old format. Call her ultimate. You're good to go, and then you're going to come out of it with at least 1 orb because of the new leap skills. So that's pretty much the entirety of her new leap skills in practice. They are very straightforward. They are much smoother to play. You can hold all of these attacks and buffer them together much, much cleaner than you used to be able to, and I'll go over some of that in the rotation here in a second. But just get used to the timing of the hold dodge and get used to quickly canceling into your ultimate, and you'll basically be able to play this new version of Luna. That's really the only tricky part. The rest of this is very, very simple execution, and most of it is literally just holding dodge or holding basic. That's like 80% of her rotation now, and that's not an unwelcome thing because, again, we spent basically this entire first year with Luna doing orb, dodge, hold a basic, do the thing, go into ultimate, orb, dodge. Okay, now I can finally cast ult. You know, it's just so much smoother and more intuitive to play her this way. So I'm very impressed overall with this leap, just from both how powerful it is for one, but two, how much friendlier it is on the execution. Luna just feels infinitely less clunky to play. You'll have to actually get used to using this for yourself, but you will notice how much smoother she feels. She does not feel like she's constantly locked in animations that you want to get out of. Everything just flows together, and it makes for a nice pretty easy to pick up rotation for the Nihil team going forward. So let me go ahead and cue that up, and I'll go through the rotation I've developed for you and annotate it just like I would in a normal guide. Okay, so just like my normal videos, I'm going to go through the rotation I have come up with as an example piece by piece so you can see how it works, how it flows together, and why we're doing each individual step. And then at the end, I'll go through in real time, annotate with my voice, and have the annotations off to the side so you have a reference to practice the rotation while you're watching the video, all that good stuff that you expect. So this rotation is pretty straightforward. It's basically just using the 2 routes into Ultimate I showed you in the combat demonstration in sequence, and the only real wrinkle there is the first time you bring Luna on the field, we are going to do one minor bit of extra input to basically set her up so that every subsequent rotation can be exactly the same. So there is a minor bit of extra setup on the very first rotation you do. Everything else after that will just be exactly the same, and it's very simple, very straightforward to do. As far as I can tell, this rotation I'm going to share with you should work on Luna at any evolution as long as you are 1, using her signature weapon, and 2, have deadline timing. If you don't have a weapon resonance for a weapon and you don't have deadline timing, this may stumble somewhere and you may have to experiment with different routing and different options to build a rotation for yourself. And if you don't have her signature weapon at all, you're going to have to heavily modify this to have it work at all, just because of the nature of her signature weapon helping with her orb economy and stuff like that. So keep that in mind. I don't believe there is anything in her SS3 or SSS passives that I have access to that makes this rotation non-tenable for, say, a SS Luna, again, as long as you have the sig weapon and deadline timing. So as always, this is just my example rotation. This isn't meant to be, this is guaranteed to be the best thing you can possibly find. I always encourage you to experiment. I encourage you to watch other videos, other Warzone runs, and see what people are doing. There very well may be a more optimal route, but this has worked very, very well for me so far. So let's kind of go through this piece by piece, just like we normally would. So first off, we bring Luna in, and this is where the bit of setup happens to get things optimized for future rotations. When we bring her in, we are going to do the old school. We're going to go ahead and dodge cancel the bring in animation because there's just no reason to let it play out, because we automatically get our half core passive gauge and our sig energy already set up. So we're going to dodge cancel, and from here we're going to immediately do a 3 ping. So you barely saw me hit the 3 ping, but you'll notice it gets pinged off, and this is going to immediately give you enough energy to go ahead and use her first ultimate and go into her ultimate mode. This is going to be utilizing the fast route, so you want to make sure you hold down ultimate. As soon as you 3 ping, you can start holding down the ultimate button. The buffer is more than generous enough that all you have to do is 3 ping, hold ultimate, and you'll go into the ultimate mode from here. From here, this is as simple as it gets. We don't have to ping any orbs. We don't have to cancel anything. We already come in with a complete full core passive gauge in ultimate mode. So all we need to do is hold down basic attack and let the damage rip. Now, this animation, if you haven't used this much before, and in her older rotations, there was not a lot of reason to utilize this faster ultimate all that often. So if you aren't familiar with this one, this is a very long animation. It is about 3 seconds long, which is longer than a Da Vinci proc lasts. So you're going to want to make sure that when you're holding down basic, you hold off on your QTEs for a little bit. Otherwise, the Da Vinci proc is going to wear off before you actually get to cast your ultimate. So I like to wait till about halfway through this animation, then call the QTEs so that the Da Vinci proc and the QTE buffs apply to the back half of this big, long hold basic attack. And then from there, as soon as the basic hold basic attack animation ends, we can go into the final ultimate, and we'll go back to base form. So very simple and straightforward. You get into the fast ult route, hold basic, call your QTEs midway through, and then cast full ultimate. That's it. It really is that simple. So from here, when we come out of the ultimate, now we're going to go ahead and use the slower ultimate route, which is getting to the ultimate that most of you are going to be familiar with, where we have orbs immediately active and we are using 3 pings to build up the core passive gauge so we can get to the hold basic attack. To get here, as I showed you in the combat demonstration, we're just going to use the new hold dodge leap skill. There's no reason to do 3 pings. There's no reason to hold any basics or anything like that. We can just start holding dodge, and you can do this. You can basically start holding dodge The second you see the orbs file back in after the ultimate cutscene, you can start holding dodge right now. The buffer window on all of Luna's stuff got massively widened, so you don't have to be nearly as precise with any of these hold skills like you would have had to have been in the past. So it's a very nice quality of life that came with the sleep. But we come out of the ultimate and we immediately start holding dodge, and again, this is gonna fill very fast. Like, I'm going frame by frame here, and you're seeing how quickly the core passive gauge fills up. Once you see the core passive gauge max out once, that's also going to bring ultimate online. From here, you are free to tap ultimate. Again, make sure you tap. You don't want to hold, or we'll go back into the fast ultimate route. We want the actual slower route this time. So once that comes on, we tap ultimate. And from here, this is going to be very familiar. This is the ultimate route most of you are familiar with from playing Luna prior to her leap. You're always going to have a chunk of orbs if you're doing this rotation correctly. You should have at least 6 orbs available as long as you have both her signature weapon and deadline timing equipped. So the nice thing is, no matter what, if you want to turn your brain off and make sure that you can chain these 2-3 pings together like I showed you in the combat demonstration, the easiest way to do it is going to be to ping your 4th orb and then your 1st orb. This will guarantee that you will get 2-3 pings no matter what color of orbs you end up with. Because if you remember, you end up with a random amount of blue and red orbs. The amount isn't random, but how many blue orbs are blue or red will be random. So sometimes you'll have a red 3 ping and then blue orbs, or you might have a red 3 ping and then red and 2 blue. So the easiest way to do this and make sure that you can chain these back to back, because that's the whole point of the new leap skill. We want to chain the 2-3 pings into each other so we don't have to do any dodge canceling. Just do 4th orb, 1st orb, and you're good to go. I see that these are all the same color when I was recording this rotation, so I'm just going to master my 1st orb twice. You see it goes by very fast. We clear out both 3 pings, and the core passive gauge is already filled. It's that simple. So from here, we go ahead and hold basic. Because of how quickly this happens, our QTEs won't be back up. That is perfectly fine. That's going to happen. If you want, you can save your QTEs for this particular section if you prefer. I prefer to do them on the first one because that just means more QTEs throughout the rest of the Warzone run, but you can experiment and see if holding them until this second ult in the rotation is the better way to do it. But going forward, we do the hold basic. That gives us enough ult energy. We cast our full ult one more time. And from here, before we swap Luna out, we do need to do one more 3 ping to set her up for future rotations. Keep in mind that basically for the rotation I'm showing you, and I think this is going to apply to almost any rotation you'll find with Luna post-leap, you're going to want to do a 3 ping before you shuffle her off field to do her thing, because that's going to give her half a core passive gauge, and that means when we bring her back on the field next time, as long as the bring-in attack hits an enemy, she's going to immediately have ultimate and a full core passive gauge. So we won't have to do any dodge canceling. We won't have to do any 3 pinging. We can literally just come back in and immediately cancel into the fast ultimate. So I 3 ping, we swap out. From here, you'll do your rotation based on your team and investment. So whoever is up next in your rotation, let them rip, do their thing. And then Luna is going to come back in. And from here, you can just, as soon as you tap the button to bring Luna in, you don't have to think about it. Start holding ultimate, because as long as the bring-in attack connects, you can immediately go to ult. You saw how quickly I did that. It's fast. So, oops, I'm not hitting space. Good work, me. Let's try that again. So Luna comes back in. I'm going to pause here, frame by frame it. So, boy, I delayed. There we go. So bring in, I don't have to think about it because the core passive gauge immediately fills because the bring in attack is hit the enemy, so we don't have to think about it. That means we have enough signature energy, so I'm just holding ult. We're already in. So from here, it's going to be exactly the same as last time. We do the fast ult first, and we hold basic, call the QTEs midway through, and then cast our full ultimate. Out of this, we do the same thing again. This time, we go the slow route, so we're going to hold dodge, cast ultimate as soon as the core passive gauge fills up once. From here, do our 2-3 pings. Again, this time I'm utilizing the advice I gave you on the first one, which is 4th orb, then 1st orb. That gets us a full core passive gauge. We hold basic for the core passive attack, cast our final ultimate one more time. Do a 3-ping, and then Luna swaps out to your next attacker. That's it. That's the entire rotation. They're almost identical. The only difference is that first run of the rotation, you're going to dodge cancel the bring in and use a 3-ping. That's the only difference. Otherwise, you're doing the exact same rotation for the entire run. It's super easy to pick up. It's super easy to remember, and it dumps a lot of damage in those Nihil stages. So, going to go through it in real time now. I'll annotate with my voice, put the annotations off to the side so you can practice. So, Luna Oblivion should be all ranks. Post-leap rotation. Swap in, dodge, cancel, 3-ping, hold ultimate. Hold basic, call your QTEs, ultimate 2. Hold dodge out of the ultimate, tap ultimate with a core passive gauge, 2 3-pings, hold basic, ult 2, do 1 3-ping, then swap Luna out. Proceed with the rotation for your next attacker that's on field, regardless of who it is and what evolution you're at. You'll have to experiment for yourself. We're going to bring Luna back in and immediately hold ultimate. So swap in, hold ultimate, hold basic, call the QTEs midway through the long animation, ultimate 2. Start holding dodge out of the ultimate, tap ultimate with a full core passive gauge, 2 3-pings, hold basic, ultimate 2, 3-ping, swap Luna out. There is your new post-leap Luna rotation. Again, this should work basically for everyone as long as you have her signature weapon deadline timing and have her at least at double S. This should be a viable rotation. If you are finding that something is falling apart, you're running out of orbs, or something isn't quite clicking, then you might have to adjust slightly. Again, I'm not able to, unfortunately, I can't test a lower rank Luna because there's no test server active, so I can't even go in and just use a lower rank one. But as far as I can tell, this should be perfectly viable for any rank. And again, very easy to pick up, does really good damage, and it makes Luna so much simpler to play. I can't explain how much less clunky this execution feels. So with that all taken care of, let's go ahead and wrap up this Luna Leap Guide. Alright, so that's going to put a wrap on Luna's Leap Guide. Simply put, maybe the strongest leap in the whole game. Everything about this update to Luna's kit is excellent. She feels much, much more fun to play overall, mostly just because everything actually flows together now. You're not breaking up every single rotation with dodge canceling 6 different animations over and over again, you know, to make sure you're utilizing field time and utilizing amplifier buffs. We used to have to basically not let Luna be in animations because that was just delaying getting to the actual part of her kit that did damage. With all these changes, now all of her kit is doing good damage, and getting to the parts that do the heavy damage no longer feel like pulling teeth or wearing out the dodge button on your keyboard controller or clicking your mouse. So very, very, very powerful leap altogether, and if you have Luna, getting her leap should be an extremely high priority for you. The leap by itself is going to boost your Nihil team's potential by a very visible amount, and it's going to make those weeks where we do have a Nihil Warzone or a Nihil Pain Cage boss a lot less painful to deal with. So, highly recommend getting Luna leaped if you have her available. But for now, I'm going to call this one good and done. If you have questions, or if you find anything with the rotation isn't working for your particular investment with Luna, do let me know, because again, with no test servers available, I didn't really have a way to go and make sure this wouldn't have a tripping point at lower evolutions than what I'm playing at. But as far as I can tell, if I reread her skills properly and am understanding how her orb economy works, even at lower investments, again, as long as you have the signature weapon and deadline timing, this should work fine for you. But again, I always encourage you to check out who else is doing leap guides, look for new Nihil rotations that people might be cooking up, because I sincerely doubt that what I'm doing is the absolute most optimal thing. I haven't ever stumbled into one of those yet, and I don't expect I ever will, but at least in terms of being a consistent and simple rotation that makes the field time make sense for my team, it's been working quite well. So, as always, appreciate all the feedback, support. If you all want to do the YouTube stuff, like, comment, subscribe, it's always appreciated, never necessary. I do have multiple other videos I am working on for this patch, so stay tuned for those. But for now, I'm going to call it a day and get out of here. So as always, thanks for watching. Y'all take care of yourselves. Be good to each other. Catch you in the next one. Peace.